conversation we're having, very timely at this point in our history, folks. Always looking over the abyss and pulling back at the last minute. Well, we're 5 days away from that occasion, and like Professor PLO keeps insisting, level heads must prevail, sanity must prevail. Getting a lot of messages from folks across the country. Very Reverend Canon Sammy Wainaina sends his warm regards. He says, thank you, PLO, for laying it on the line.
Thank you.
Steve Nyabwa says, PLO has spoken well. This is no time for grandstanding on either side. It's time for statesmanship.
Absolutely.
Statesmanship. So many more comments. We're going to be reading them in a little short while. In the meantime, again, part of your 5-page letter to the president and the former prime minister. In the very last page, you give some recommendations. A couple of things you say. Let me just read it from the magic wall and get your comments about that. You say, for your excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, that you continue discharging your duties as the duly elected president of the Republic of Kenya without fear or favor, but work with the opposition to ensure economic recovery, social cohesion, and political stability.
Absolutely. That is what a president does. Once you are elected as the president of any country, you stop engaging in partisan politics, because you are the president of those who voted for you and those who did not vote for you. And your duty is to ensure that the country of Kenya as we know it has economic prosperity. And you have inherited an economy that is not performing well in an environment that is not favorable. What do? You call on all heads across the political divide to ensure that you stabilize the economic ship and then ensure social cohesion. You remember that this is a country, whether we want it or not, where ethnicity plays a big role. What do? You ensure that in every action you do, you reduce the ethnic tension and make everybody feel that they belong. And political stability. You ensure that statements that emanate from your government are statements that build, not statements that divide. Yeah. Once you do that, then we can say you are discharging your duties as the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Absolutely. Advice for Right Honorable Raila Odinga. You say that however grieved you feel, you concede that short of a disruptive revolution, we have a fait accompli as to who the President of the Republic of Kenya is. However, I beseech you to use your considerable experience and influence to help existing institutions such as Parliament to bring necessary changes as we look to the future.
I make that statement to Honorable Odinga in recognition of the fact that he has taken umbrage at the results. He believes that he won the elections, but all institutions established by the Constitution say otherwise. The IBC said that President Ruto won the election. He petitioned, and the Supreme Court said that the elections were properly conducted. Having submitted himself to the jurisdiction of those institutions, however aggrieved he is, he's got to accept that that is the result. Because the other route that he can take is the route that he is taking, the route of what is effectively a revolution, is asking that the government of the Republic of Kenya, as presently established, be removed. And that can only be disruptive because President Ruto and the government that has been established will not just be sitting back and say, oh, come, hallelujah, we now accept. They will resist. And when there is resistance, the country will pay. But I go further and ask Honorable Raila, you have served this country. You have accumulated experience over the years. You have political influence. You have individuals who voted for you. Why don't you use that capital, political, social capital, and use your members in Parliament to address the issues that concern you? What are those issues? One, that the cost of living is rising to the detriment of Kenyans. Parliament can do that. Your governors can do that. The president can do that. That You lost in a manner that you consider to be unfair. Look to the future. Let us ensure that the institution charged with undertaking and oversighting election is dealt with in a manner that we don't have future occurrences. Then history will say, behold, a patriot. Behold, a selfless man. Behold, a man who sacrificed all. Behold, a man who deserves historical credit.
Are we standing at a crossroads here, Prof?
Yes, indeed. Unless the Honorable Odinga and his acolytes pull back on Monday, the 20th day of March, businesses will not open in Nairobi. Responsible businessmen will not come to town. In cities and towns across the Republic where Honorable Odinga has support, there will be no activity. Billions will be lost. Some people will be hurt. The country, as I said, is on tenterhooks. The question that I ask, if a mistake is made by one of the demonstrators or one of the security forces, then there is copycat revenge spread across the country. Can Mr. Odinga and his comrades in Azimio assure this country that they have control? They have promised peaceful demonstrations. I've heard some of their foot soldiers saying, there is no peaceful demonstration. Are they reading from the same script? If they don't pull back on Tuesday, what will Kenya look like? And if they don't succeed in removing President Ruto on the 20th, and they will not succeed, what is their game plan? What is the end game? Will they go to the bush? Because there is now an army complete with uniform. Will they go to the bush? Will they attack Kenya and overwhelm us and depose this government and install another one? What is the end game? Can they build the scenarios for us before 20th? And I'm saying, let us not get there. Let us not get there. Let us pull back and ask, for what? For what are we doing this? That is all we ask. Yeah. And I'm sure there are no shortage of Kenyans of goodwill who think as I do, who desire as I do, but there is also no shortage of Kenyans who are saying, bring it on. I'm telling those Kenyans who are saying, bring it on, you are wrong. And history will tell you, you are wrong.
Absolutely, Prof. You are wrong. And let's not forget other priorities like a devastating drought in the north. Bandits are wreaking havoc in several counties up north. I mean, come on.
We have no shortage of problems, Jeff. We have no shortage of problems. And I've said in my letter, how can your house be burning and you are running after rats? Let the rats run away. Let us come back to the house. Let us go to North Kenya and work with one accord for the sake of this country. There are people who can't pay school fees, people who cannot eat. Salaries have not been paid to workers in the devolved units. Yet we want to have a champagne revolution where you fly in with choppers and V8s. That is a champagne revolution. You eat caviar and eggs and sausage, then come to a meeting and tell people who have not eaten, let us invade State House. That is kamikaze, suicide. That is what we are saying is not necessary.
Yeah.
I hope that by divine grace, as I conclude my letter, the years will listen, I hope, and pray. But that is all we can do.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people have determined to do what they want to do, everything that you say is stupidity in their minds. Stupid. He is saying stupid things. He's been bought. I'm sure there are people watching and saying, oh, he's been bought. There are people watching and saying, oh, he's the personification of cowardice and stupidity. I prefer to be a coward for the sake of my country. I prefer to be stupid for the sake of my country. Because if we destroy it, you and me and other generations will be in heaven before Kenya is put back together, if it ever is put back together again. Let us pray, my brother.
And our children will never forgive us.
Oh, how can they possibly forgive us that for a crown jewel we chose to create a river of blood? Perhaps my imagination is too fertile. But history informs me that it takes a very little thing for a river of blood to be created.
A tiny little spark, Prof. A tiny spark.
A tiny spark.
You know, some people say the problem with some of our leaders is the people around them that they surround themselves with. Those are the ones who like to fuel. Those are the ones who like to bait.
Mohandas K. Gandhi once said, once you are a leader, you are in a lonely place. And leadership is about telling those who are around you that have a bigger burden. I hear your complaints and all these other things, but I have a different duty to serve a country. That is an excuse. When you hear people saying it is those who surround him, that is a convenient excuse that people make. When you are a leader and you are sitting alone in your bedroom and you are thinking about the country, you must shake off your usual advisors, because these have vested interest. There are people who want you to occupy office because they know that when you occupy office, they also occupy office. Ignore them. It is the best time at that time to listen to people who are not ordinarily your advisors. And those who tell you the bitter truth, which you don't want to listen to. That is the time. This is the time. For Honorable Raila and Honorable Ruto to say, the message is sound, even if I don't like the messenger. That is all we ask.
Yeah, but something is lost in the translation, Prof. I mean, you know, that's a problem. By the time it gets down to Mashinani, the message is lost.
Absolutely.
But you still bank on the fact that there is hope.
When Pandora's box was opened, the only thing that remained was hope. We must remain hopeful. 5 days you've repeated several times.
Yeah.
I want to hear the voices of the clergy. I want to hear the voices of Kenya Association of Manufacturers. I want to hear the voices of Kenya Private Sector Alliance. I want to hear the voices of KOTU. I want to hear the voices of all trade unions only saying one thing. Let us protect Kenya. I want to hear those voices between now and Monday, latest by Sunday. They should come out loudly and clearly saying, let us preserve Kenya. They are too eloquent in their silence.
Absolutely. There's lots of reactions coming in, Prof. Lots of reactions from around the country, around the region, around the world. We'll get to the tweets in a little short while. Oh, your fellow colleague, Dr. Barack Muluka, the man from Emanuelia.
Yes, indeed.
He says, tell them, Mzee, tell them. Keep preaching.
Thank you, Mzee.
Oh, Sudhir Vidyarthi says, PLO is the man we need at this time. A luta continua.
Victoria o morte venceremos.
Did you get that joke, Ishege? Sign language. All right. right. Let's go to the tweets. What do you have? Let's go to the magic wall. Victorious. I love it. Oh, tweets so thick and so fast. Here we are. Okay, here we are. Babu Michael, okay, he says, the chaos witnessed in Kisumu is just not in order. These are acts of hooliganism and they should be condemned to the strongest possible terms. If there can be better organized demonstrations, then they should try that. But this one is a no. I mean, how can you organize demonstrations any better? King Pose says, let the government bring down the high cost of living and it will see no demonstrations. Otherwise, we will not relent. Tell you. Neddy Kenyatta, NY. Very composed man in PLO Lumumba. Let's put the country forward. Elections are over and all the legal avenues by Azimio were exploited. We can't go the way of protest and mass action. We will live to regret that route. You've been saying that, Prof. Deep Sewe says, where are our governors, senators, and MPs? PLO's been asking that. When will our so-called leaders sober up and start thinking together, solving issues together? Every Kenyan is suffering now, and it's not fair to ordinary citizens.
Indeed.
You know, Wanjiko out there suffering even more. Ondeng Moses says, the fact that PLO wrote a letter to Raila Odinga and President Ruto and expected no formal response, and true to his words, he hasn't received one yet, means that the two leaders don't care. They are selfish. Wow, powerful words. Mike Mondo says, nobody is speaking for Kenya. Leaders are not speaking for Kenya, they are speaking for political or personal interests. In leadership, no value is built by the pursuit of personal interests. Value is built in your ability to give value. Deep. Kiplimo Timothy says, PLO is oozing wisdom. I wish both Ruto and Raila should sit down at the table of brotherhood as statesmen. Organizing more demos is like pricking a healing wound. When will Kenya progress, if not saved from fangs of politics? Wow. Deep. Thanks for your feedback, folks. Prof, only so much can be done, only so much can be said.
Only so much can be done, only so much can be said.
But go on, speak to the nation there. They're listening to you right now. Speak to them.
President Ruto, in accordance with the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, you are the President of the Republic of Kenya. This is the time when history calls upon leaders to rise above the parapet of partisan politics and to seize the opportunity to stabilize the ship of state. Don't think it underneath you to approach your adversaries. Do so for the sake of the Republic of Kenya, and history will remember you fondly. To Mzee Raila Amolo Odinga, history is beckoning you to be great. However aggrieved you are, there is a process which is prescribed by the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. That process did not make you the President of the Republic of Kenya. Rise up and do that which is right. Use your experience and influence to protect Kenya. Do not march on State House. Use constitutional means. To my fellow Kenyans, whichever side of the political divide you are on, remember that if this country is allowed to burn, it will take this generation and generations yet to be born to put it together, if it can't be put together again. This is the moment when our patriotism must be given its pride of place. I beseech you, to those who are advisors of President Ruto advise him to be a statesman. To those who are urging Mzee Raila Odinga to go on, tone down. You have blood flowing in your veins. Spare your country the pain. God bless you.
God bless you too, Prof. Nothing more can be said. You've just laid it on the head, nailed it completely. And I hope they're listening. I hope they're listening. And I keep saying, we've got to keep talking.
Oh, absolutely.
The moment we stop talking is the moment we start fighting.
Indeed.